Okay, simply like we wanna going to discuss about the aggregation values. So suppose we'll be having a simple table here. Basically, had a UK feed data, which we loaded through URL feed. So wanna going to know like if you look into the columns, right? We'll be having a language column here. So it is having different kind of languages. So I'd like to know how many records are there in this particular table. Simply we'll go with the count. So we'll be having 3064 records, and so wanted to go with the group by of this by language priority. How many records? Just wanted to check. So just let's look into this. We'll be having different kind of languages here. So the count is provided at the left, and that particular language is on the right. So just I got picked up this, and I want URL of that particular same, like what is the corresponding sample URL or sample feed of that particular language or language I need, because just wanted to look it like in the Excel sheet. So we just wanted to build the jobs, because one by one we can't, because it's already 3000 records, huge records. So we can't do it in a one by one, we can't count, so that we need to just take a consolidated report somewhere else with the ETL job. We just wanna going to design it the normal simple ETL job. So same query, whatever we build, right? We just want to do it in our Talend. So, so what are the components we require here? The first thing, we already well known that we required the database component, since we are picking it from MySQL. So let's we can go with the input component MySQL database. Let's see we have that schema or not. No, we didn't have. With the retrieval of schema. It is not there. So I took the schema, drag down on this. So just go with the built-in. Hope we got everything right. So basically it is having URL, title, company location, description. So some employment type, created it, all the fields will be having here. So with this tmap, is it be possible? Let's see, do we have any aggregation functions here? Since we need to do the aggregation, right? So the tmap does not have, only we can, it's a row level operator only. It's not a group level operator. So even if you connect it to the tmap, there is a no aggregation functions. So all we are having only row level of contents. So which does not make any sense for us to use this tmap here. So tmap we can't use here. So for the aggregation itself, the name itself called aggregate. T aggregate row. We having a aggregation component here, T aggregate row. So if you just look onto this perform of this, it's having a schema where we just define our schema, like what are the components we require, I mean what are the output uh, fields we require. This is part of a schema. I mean the select class statements or select class fields, we can say the schema of this particular aggregated row. And then group by class is this one. These fields will be part of this since we are having using only single one. So suppose if you are using another also, you can keep it then number of, I mean whatever the fields you are using here, just click over here. So it is for the list kind of operations. If you are using a list operator, since we can go with here is like group concat statement will be having, right? So suppose content, group concat of URL. So suppose you want to just make it as a list, then we'll be having a group concatenation function. It is something like this one, Italian, comma, English, how it will come together. These two are belongs to the same URL but get concatenated together. So the same way how we just go with the group operator. So this is group concatenation, also one more functionality in MySQL. So the same way performer we can just go ahead with the list operations. If you are having multiple kind of values, then you can go with the group concatenation here. Uh, it's a type data type flow it is. So not required. It's for uh, increment and decrement values. Or when you are doing like salary kind of things, and you can just uh, do it. You can just give it a check. So we just make sure that the values, whatever we are mentioning, that it should be either in a incremental fashion or decrement, and we can say the sorting or something. So nothing else will be having. And below to this, we'll be having aggregation functions. But since we, as of now, we didn't add any fields over here, so it won't show up. So let's go to the flow.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, please. Do you have any doubt? I mean, questions?
thought like you were asking, like I'm just telling, listening. No
Yeah.
questions.
Okay. Okay. So just add it. It's denoted added because it shows. Either you can drag everything, or else you can just keep whatever you require. So in my case, I just wanted these two goodies. So here, what I want is uh, what can we expect here? The two fields I want for the aggregation. As I said earlier, it should be count and language, right? So, so count the same performer count and then language I added here. So after this, if you just have a look, after adding that particular field only, we can able to see this operations option. Until unless we didn't get that. So here we added two fields count and then language. So you need to add here as well. Let me delete and add again. Let's add here the group by column was language, and then the corresponding input is languages. See, it's not about like only I have taken two fields or here get copied. So you can copy remaining fields as well. So it's up to you how many like fields you want to be in the group by class. You can even drag and drop this, no issues with that. Only the thing is like how you are just keeping it. Okay, it's adding and then taking out. The functionality sometimes it's showing, sometimes it's not. Group by languages. What happened? Well, let's add it in one flow, single flow, without just waiting for that. Talend is not happy with us today, even vigorously today. One we added here, and then other we can add it out. Okay, so here the output would be like the group by would be a language. For this, look into that fields. We have selected all that available fields, but out of that, I just wanted the data on the languages column only. And here, the operation column output would be on the count. So the input for this is corresponding count. I would like to know. So output field itself, I mentioned count. Don't get confused in this. The functionals will be having the count, min, max, average, sum, first, and then last. And in all these distinct like aggregate functions will be having here the min max functions and the average functions and the sum functions. So we connected. It's you can see the count and the languages will be having. Just executing. So if we just look into that, we will be having 3067 records. Out of that, only 63 went to the target. And if you just look into that data, so it just okay. Let's go with the one by one settings. If you just wanted to ignore the null values, if you have a look on this, it's having a null as well, right? So 1000 1105 will be having. Either you can give the languages as well. Since URL does not have a null, languages does carry that. So if you just have a look, we got null as a 0. Since the languages itself having that empty and null, previously I checked here the URL. That is why it came, because URL is not a blank. So count I'm just taking out on URL base, and then languages is just group by class. Just look on this is what. So again, we'll be having one more component called T aggregate sorted row. So maybe, I mean, when we are picking up this T aggregate, maybe look into this sorted row as well. So what's exactly the difference between these two? So the name itself will say that hey, it is in sorted row. So, and just have a look on this functionality, the same thing, but it should accept the data in a sorted row. And also input row count, I mean, it requires number of input that we are going to pass it to it should require, otherwise it won't, even if you configure it without giving this number of row count, then it won't accept. Only that's only the difference. Let's have a look on the same way. So again, I added a two columns same as the above one. The group by would be the language. On this input would be the languages only, and then for this operation we are gonna going to do a count of this URL. Let's take URL itself. The same settings whatever we have used for this row component, the URL and then URL. If I mean it doesn't make sense if we keep ignore null values. There's something problem with this T aggregate. Yeah. Okay. That's what the settings. So when you are having a multiple flow, right? If you just going to run one another after another, so you just have a trigger components. We just say as a trigger how many types of triggers and all. get on job okay, sub job okay, then you just execute this. When there is an error, say suppose when you got some sort of error here, then on that time you can go with the error what you need to send at the time of error. You can send in mail notifications, or else you can log it in a one file, or you can just print out on the console setting there is an issue at that particular component, and you can catch that errors and run if what if like if conditional statement, like if you have some sort of conditions here, you can give a condition on this and you can execute on that. Later we can discuss these items. So on component okay, and on component error, once this component has get finished, finish it successfully, then you can execute. Since we are just wanted to complete this entire job, so that's only we are going with on component, on subjob okay. On subjob okay trigger, we just give it so that once finish it, once this process has been get finished, we can go with it. And on component, basically we use individual kind of components when we have mapping, like T Java components will be having, or else T this one T connection components. Individual components when we are looking at, then on that time we can go with the on component. Okay, so yeah, so just have a look. Because it does not it don't know how many rows will be it need to be get processed, it won't execute. So see detail messenger error on token, the name itself just mention it. Parameter input rows count is empty, but it is required. Okay, fine. How many will be we got here? 3076, I guess. 3067. Okay, 3067. So it's happy now. So just have a look on these two items. So in T aggregate row, we got 63 as an output for the same set of source data, but we got 1497 records when we use a T aggregate sorted row component. So maybe just let's have a look why there is such a difference. So, used to null, and then so basically the name itself shows us sorted aggregate. So for this component, it requires a sorting input. If you just look into this arrow down, right, it just shows that you just give me in a sorted fashion until unless it won't accept. So it will take whatever the values come into picture, and then it will aggregate and it will push it back to the output. So if you just look into that, you can find a number of English. You can find a lot of language of English. You can see here the same way. So the just need to use T sorted row. Just copy paste whatever it is. So this one, what we can sort is we can sort let's we can give a sort on this languages sorts. That would be better. Okay, so I'm just giving either ascending or descending. I'm just giving it as sorted row. So if you just go to this, you'll be having all the schema columns, and then you can give a number of I mean what are the sources you will be having, you can give it over here, and then make sure that you just mention whether it is a number or alpha, since it is alphabetical characters. So just given a languages, for these languages I given a alpha, and then if you just look into the advanced settings, you'll be having teach that catch, and then sort on disk. So this sort on disk is basically used when you wanted to just sort a huge number of data. So suppose if you are having in sorting also, it's a when you just go with aggregation functions and the sorting functions, all will just take plenty of RAM, right? So for those kind of situations, what you can do is just define it like you can just save it in spite of using a memory of a system. You can just store that in some sort of a disk space, temporary location you just mentioned, and then you can execute it. You're having length, plenty of data, so it's a sort of what the performance perspective as you can go with this disk operation. And even we have seen the same situation like same sort of actions here on tmap as well, right? Yeah, if you are having a join, then only it will show. Okay, so we sorted based on language. So thing to do with that finding terms, then execute it again. Let's see how it will behave. 63 we got 63, right? Now copy and then paste. One zero three four double 105. The null set first, right? For this nulls will be at first, right? For this ascending kind of operations. So we got, I mean, mostly in the most cases, what we'll do is like will get up like this kind of situations where we will need to uh, we are just get what exactly is happening. We don't have a proper answer for comparing these two T aggregate sorted row and sorted. So sorted row will accept only when there is a row count as well as and there should be a sorted input, otherwise it will just behave like a very vigorously. I think I missed it off here. Checking out. Okay, let's do one more scenario here. Okay, what I want the only one single sample URL for this. So suppose for suppose I just want only sample one single sample URL for this corresponding job. Since it is having only for Chinese, suppose if you just take a Chinese, for English you'll be having 1834. Just wanted to check a single sample URL for that. I need that sort of consolidated report. So what you can we can go with one single job here. Right. Anyhow, we already got 63 URLs. I mean 63 aggregated records. Again, we need to uh, get only the single URL. So what we need to do is we just need to have a look on this. We have to perform a lookup action on the same source data, and so we'll store in a Excel file the final report. So you'll be having what would be the joining column we can use here. So we have the languages here. As languages we can go, and we can go with a unique match. Yes, of course, we can go with the inner join. Since we need all the data, either we can use any one of them. But let's go with the inner join. Since only 63 records, even if you go with the left outer join, you get 63 records from that particular left table. So the unique match, yeah, here becomes one more picture of a T map. You can see all rows. Say suppose if you are having for this language, you'll be having n number of records here, right? So if you just click on all rows, what will happen? All that particular language records will come and into picture. So I need only single one. So if you just pick unique match, so it will pick the last particular match record. If you go with the first match, yes, it will pick the first particular match. Next we can go with the first match and the languages. I did that. Uh, so the same count I need, and then languages, and then URL of that particular one. And so suppose if you want the location, description, and company related to that, then you can pick that, or else you just keep it a simple. So three columns, I'm just picking it and making sure that it should return only one single URL. So uh, default I kept so nothing I given here. So I need headers to be there. Okay, and append existing, it's not applicable since we are not using iteration, only the flow totally we are using. And auto size we can make it languages, and count we can make an auto size, but make sure that you should not select for the description kind of things, because if you put at auto size for this description kind of items, then what will happen is just it will just screwed up, because it just go, if the value of that particular column is lengthy, then you can't drag down back. So it just open up in a contain total cell it get occupied. So I don't want to suggest you to just use for description kind of things. Just hold it only if you find there should be any kind of a flagging, then it's only simple kind of uh, I mean a small strings are there, then only you can use this auto size on that. It's already we discussed about this custom flush buffer. Once that particular get loaded, then it will just release the buffer. So advanced, if you are having any kind of thousand separator, if you want any numbers, you can be here. So just wanted to make sure that you should not have the empty file. So it's a stats refresh. It's a statistic. So particular component, if there any kind of error are there. So basic settings. Then the sheet one we can give, or else by default it's a sheet one. Okay, let it be. 63. So total 63 you are having. Out of that, I'm just making a net join. So you will get 63. At same time, you will be having for the one language, you will be having corresponding some n number of URLs. So I'm just picking up only single URL. I'm just transferring to the target. So I'm going to look on this. Here, pick it. Just have a look. So this only the reason we just told you not to use this one, otherwise it will go get unoccupied up to this R cell. Just Just have a look on this particular languages. Just check on the English is this much. So let's go to another setting over here, the map itself. This one is the first match I just wanted to go. If you go with the unique match, what will happen? All the data. Second one, just go to shift append to the existing file I just mentioned. The same file, I want this data to be there, but the sheet name is 2. Second 63. Just open up. You have two sheets over here, right? So you no need to worry about this. You just take one single URL of this empty languages or something. Just have a look. These two seems to be different, right? In the first iteration, we just took the first particular match. The second iteration, we are picking the last match, and then just have a last settings. So all matches I want. So just make it for the sheet 3. So just have a look on this. So 3067 3067 3067 you go on that. Just click on this. Yes, yes. For this, then since it is empty, we can take this one. Find out whether last match this one, right? That's it. So people get confused with the settings of basically with the T aggregate row and T aggregate sorted row, and then T map functionality. So once we just get into it, it's pretty easier for anyone. So, so we discussed three components here along with the Tmap extra features of joining when we are joining Tmap with multiple uh, the sources, then how it will behave at the time of joining the table. So basically for us it's very important. These are little bit of crucial where we need to pick only the particular long only sometimes we come up or fed up with these situations like we need to pick all that particular natural fields we need to pass, and sometimes we need to pass only that particular joint fields. Sometimes we need only single one, either it should be a first one, first match record or the last match record. In the situation it's this feature is very much pretty helpful for us. So yeah, that's it for the day. So, have any questions, guys? Tarun and Subhash.
No,
Uh,
I'm good.
okay, thanks. Subhasis? Okay, shall we close our session today? Have any
Yeah,
queries or
sure.
something? Good. So far?
No, no, good.
No, you're fine, right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, because I'm not enlarging the things. Because whatever the scenarios, I mean, we are getting everything. I just wanted to cover because we are in
Yeah,
a
yeah,
field,
that's fine.
the same field, right? So, or
Yeah,
else
yeah,
if you have any kind of queries, you just get in. Just we can discuss that as well, or else just.